Okay, welcome to the, what number is this one?
I don't know.
Yeah, to the Entrepreneurship Roundtable. Before Gerhard introduced Clay, I just want to tell you about a new event that we have in April. It's called the Business Concept Competition. And we have that event posted on the School of Management website. It's under events, and it's called the Business Concept Competition. We will have soon the rules for that competition posted on the website with the instructions and all that. There is a grand prize of $1,000 for the winner, and it's a very simple competition where you have an idea, you will present it to judges to compete for the grand prize. Okay? So,
how do you like our new event facility? We simply couldn't find a room at the university at this time today, so we thought, give them lemons, make lemonade, and that's what we did. That's what entrepreneurs do, don't they? So, and I think it works out pretty nicely for our purpose here today. And it's also a sign of the growth that's happening at Lutheran. We're growing so much that we can't find space anymore for the interesting things that we're doing. And that leads me to an exciting announcement that some of you have already heard, seen, written, or read somewhere, that in the summer this year we're going to go online with a new facility in Westlake Village. That's going to be a combined classroom, faculty office, co-working, and incubation facility. So it's going to be a place where we have a new home for our entrepreneurship programs, for our students, for our alums, for entrepreneurs, aspiring and existing entrepreneurs, and we're hoping that we build this very successful funnel for people to guide them from idea creation to incubation to successful funding and successful growth and scaling of their businesses. So watch out for that. It's going to happen very soon. It's going to be a beautiful facility at the corner of Lindera and Agura in Westlake Village, with very affordable rates for people who are looking for a co-work space to be in the same place with like-minded individuals. So, Clayton Alexander, thanks for being here. Not all inventors are entrepreneurs. Not all entrepreneurs are inventors.
That's true.
But we have somebody here today who has managed to...
I've stumbled my way through it.
to balance both mindsets, both careers. Clayton is an expert in the lighting industry, where he has several different things going, both on the entrepreneurial side and as an inventor. He holds several patents on technology and in that space, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about himself and his journey from being an inventor to becoming an entrepreneur and staying an inventor. Thank you.
Yeah, staying. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks. Okay, so I'd like to start by thanking the host, Gerhard, Nelson, the School of Management here. I'm actually really excited about the facility going up in Westlake. I'm actually live in Westlake, or office in Westlake, so I hope you guys can all take advantage of that new facility. Okay, so let's get started. Today, I'd like to share with you the story of starting my two businesses and some of the lessons that I've learned along the way. And we'll also talk a little bit about turning an idea into a commercial product and bringing it to market. I usually like to start, this is a little bit, what it is, I think I have a clown nose, like right here, and it's distracting me. I like clowns, but I usually like to start with a quote, and I found a really great quote that is inspiring to me, and I hope that it's inspiring to you guys as well. Success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you are doing, you will be successful. And that's by Albert Schweitzer. You don't find your passions find you. So I think the key to success as an entrepreneur is finding out what you're passionate about, and then choosing a life path that allows you to practice your passions. And as a consequence, you'll make a great living as well. So for me, I knew that passion was the art of lighting design. I first studied lighting at California Institute of the Arts. And after college, I had a couple of jobs as lighting designers in the industry. And then in 1999, when I was 23 years old, I was still having saggy pants, and I was, a young guy, and I decided to start my first business, and I called it Radiance Lightworks. And I remember I drove down to Norwalk at the time. I think it's a lot more high tech now, but you used to have to drive down to Norwalk and file for a DBA or doing business ads. I think you can do all that stuff online now, but that was in 1999, and it was official. I had started my own business. So I went around calling for jobs, and I remember my first job was a corporate event for Estee Lauder at Universal Studios Hollywood. And they had hired Radiance to do the lighting design for the event. I remember we had everything loaded in, the lighting was looking good, the scenery was looking good, and the centerpieces came in. It was about 2 hours before the event was set to open. And the centerpieces came in, they were red roses. Well, the problem was the roses were wilting and browning, and they were starting to die. And imagine this is a big, high-profile Estee Lauder corporate event. So the clients started freaking out, and they came up to me and said, "Clay, is there anything we can do from a lighting perspective to fix the situation?" And so I had an idea, and I thought about it, and we jumped right on it. We basically put stage lights or Legos hung in the air, and we spotlighted on every single centerpiece of all the tables in the whole venue. Of course, very fast, right? Because we only had a couple hours. And we shuttered in right on the roses, and then we dropped a red color filter in the light, so that the light was a vibrant red. Well, the roses just came to life, and they were glowing in a nice vibrant red. They just looked really gorgeous. And I remember the clients were so happy, and they thought that we had pulled off like a magic trick, basically. So that was a really great way to kick off my relationship with Universal Studios. That was our first major job there, and we'd really proved ourselves. So after that, the phone started ringing, right? They would call us for job after job after job, and eventually we got to the point where we were lighting all of their major live events throughout the park all year round. It's still that way today, 15 years later. So we still dominate that relationship, and we're proud to be partnered with Universal Studios. So the past 15 years have been quite the journey. We're now an international leader in lighting design for the entertainment industry. We have a huge client list ranging from 20th Century Fox, Universal Studios, Mattel Toys, General Growth Properties. We do projects all over the world, including the world's largest outdoor stunt show, which is in Guangzhou, China. And we lit this massive stage, and I remember they don't use ladders out there. What they do is they tie bamboo together with leaves and make ladders out of it. And so I flew my whole team out there, and here comes the time to install the lights. And these guys are taking bamboo and tying leaves together and building a scaffolding out of bamboo and leaves. And my guys are looking at me, and they're looking at the scaffolding, and they're like, we don't really have to go on that, do we? So anyhow, it's incredibly strong. You wouldn't believe how strong leaves and bamboo is. So that's the story of kind of my first business, Radiance Lightworks. My second business is a company called Journée Lighting. We design and manufacture LED track lights. And this is a company that was started just based on an idea. So to tell this story, we have to go back to the year 2004. Radiance is about 5 years old at the time, and one of our big customers was Mattel Toys. They were designing a new toy showroom in Manhattan, in a historic high-rise building. And the building had, being that it was a historic building, it had outdated AC infrastructure and electrical infrastructure. And yet, to light the space, we needed to put in about 1,000 track lights. So there was no way that the electrical infrastructure and HVAC infrastructure would be able to support the heat that was emitted from 1,000 track lights, as well as, you know, just the power that would be required for that kind of system. So Mattel approached us with this problem, and they asked us if we would do worldwide market research to see if there was any type of technology that existed that could help, you know, solve the problem. At that time, this is in '04, LED lighting was beginning to emerge as a new technology in the lighting industry. It was very, very new. And it existed in just a couple different type of fixtures, like some down lights here and there. So we ended up doing worldwide market research and looking for LED track lighting. Does it exist? Does anyone in the world make LED track lighting? And I remember after about a month of searching, came up short. There was nothing existed at the time. LED was too new. So there was a couple things that did show up. There was like some light bulb replacements that you could put into an existing socket, but they barely put out any light at all. I mean, you could hardly light your hand, you know, a couple feet away. So it wasn't going to work to illuminate a Mattel showroom, you know. And there was also this big brick type fixture that you had to bolt to the ceiling, and so it didn't have any flexibility. So after doing that research, we realized that there was no such thing as an LED track light, and yet there was a need in the marketplace. So I had an idea. I wanted to start a second business and create the world's first LED track light, and so I did. It took about 2 years to develop, and we had hired mechanical engineers, thermal engineers, industrial designers to help get over some of the technological challenges, you know, of being a new product in a new market. And it was actually a fun project for me to go through that. The best part about starting up this second business was that my first business was stable at that point. It had been in operation for about 5 years. So I was able to use income that was generated from my first business to help fund the startup of my second business, which obviously allows you to retain 100% ownership, right, as opposed to selling out shares and raising money that way. So a couple of years later, in 2006, we ended up releasing the product at Light Fair International. It's the world's largest lighting trade show. You've maybe been there.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. It was a huge success because nothing like it existed. So there was people just piling out into the aisles, spilling out into everyone had to come take a look. I remember there was rumors flying all around there. You gotta go see this LED track light. And it was just our booth was just flooded with people. And we ended up meeting a lot of people from the press and getting great interviews. We ended up getting covered in all the major lighting magazines. We even made it into Popular Science. We made it into Gizmodo. We got a lot of amazing coverage just by being first to market and being in the right place at the right time, right? That trade show was how we were able to meet the press as well. So fast forward to today. That was '04. Fast forward to, or '06. Fast forward to today, and we're now an international leader in LED track lighting. Our fixtures have been installed in museums, retail stores, commercial buildings all over the world. And it all started from just a simple idea. So that's the power of an idea, right? You gotta have follow-through there, of course. So as a byproduct of being first to market with the world's first LED track light, we also developed some other innovations along the way. I wanted a light source, the LED light source inside the track light to be removable, right? Without using tools. Everyone else at the time was taking the LED and basically bolting it into the fixture world's first LED twist lock light bulb. And I remember there was several, once we created it, filed patents on it, there were several major light bulb manufacturers that were interested in the invention. And I eventually sold it to GE in 2009. GE renamed it the Infusion and has expanded the product line to over 30 different models, and it's available worldwide. So it's a commercial use light bulb, basically, LED. After closing the deal with GE, we really began to pick up the pace on the innovation process. Because it was exciting. It's like, okay, I did this, I hit a home run, now what can I do? You know, I've got funding now too, because that deal closed and everything. And so we really began to pick up the pace on innovating and inventing and patenting. So now, 5 years later today, I have over 45 patents on all kinds of inventions ranging from power supplies to linear LED light bulbs, thermal management solutions, all kinds of great stuff. A really nice IP portfolio. So I've shared with you kind of a mini story of how I started both companies, and I'd like to close with a few kind of important lessons that I learned along the way. The first, okay. Isn't it an amazing day today? It's so great. I'm so glad we're outside. Yeah, it's February. And my dad lives in upstate New York, and he's buried under about 2.5 feet of snow right now. So, okay, lesson number 1. If you're developing a new product, do your homework first. So, first I would start off by just doing a simple Google search, make sure your idea doesn't exist, right, or hasn't already been done. Then if you're lucky enough to kind of clear that hurdle, then you want to do a prior art search, right, which is a patent search, basically. So an attorney can do that for you, and they'll search the world for patents that may relate to your idea, right? And you want to make sure you clear those 2 hurdles. It's really important to follow those 2 steps before spending the time and money to develop a new product, right? Because one of the biggest mistakes you can make is you can get really deep into development on something or bring it to market, and then all of a sudden you discover that someone else has a patent on your idea, and now you're in trouble, right? Because you've got to work it out with them. They'll either do a cease and desist, or you can work out, in almost all cases, you can work out a royalty deal, right? So you say, okay, fine, I'll pay you a royalty. But either way, you don't really want to end up in that situation. So we always do prior art searches before we develop any new invention. Lesson number 2 is watch your overhead. And we were just talking about this. This is a good subject. I remember I'll tell you a little story. So it was our first year in business, my first business back in 1999. And we had just landed a few major jobs in a row. And I was naive, and I thought that trend was just going to continue like that. So I remember I went out and I bought a brand new company car, super awesome company car, and I signed a lease on a fancy office in a high-rise building in Wilshire Boulevard. Glass black high-rise building. I was living the dream. You know, I was an entrepreneur. And my business wasn't even a year old yet, you know. So it was a really tough lesson for me. But I learned that startup businesses can be very unstable in the first 5 years, right? I didn't know that. Of course, I had no education either, so I was just winging it, you know. But it seemed like immediately after I signed that lease and got the new company car, business started to slow down a bit, right, which is natural. And then I was in trouble financially. So then I had to, you know, trade the car back in, move out of the office, negotiate out of the lease. So that was a huge lesson for me that I still apply in my life today, 13 years later. It's just watching your overhead, being really careful. I am crazy about monthly expenses. Like, I'll spend what I need to spend on a one-time expense, like an investment in a new machine or something like that. But a monthly expense, those are dangerous because they keep coming, right? They're reoccurring. So, okay, lesson number 3 is hang out with like-minded friends and people who can inspire you, right? So I believe that you're very heavily influenced by your social surroundings, right? You know, if you hang out with other achievers and people who are doing things, then you're naturally, it's going to rub off on you and you're going to rub off on them. And so I think for me in my life, you know, that's an important lesson, right? It's just hanging out with people that can inspire you. Lesson number 4. This isn't really a lesson. It's just something that I like to talk about. And that is getting an SBA loan. It's one of the best ways to find capital for a new business, right? So when I had started Journée Lighting, my second business, I kind of self-funded it for the first couple of years. But then I needed a big influx of capital to get to that next step. And so I was able to obtain an SBA loan for $750,000, which was pretty good, right? But we had to, you know, go through a lot of underwriting and such. But I'm a huge fan of the SBA loan program. Don't get me wrong, it's not like you just walk in the bank and they give you money. I mean, you've got to have your stuff together. You got to have a business model. You have to have a 5-year forecast. You have to have all this stuff ready. But it's a great way to raise capital for a new business. And last but certainly not least is never give up. So here's a good story for you. So Radiance, my first business, was about 2.5 years old, and we had had our ups and downs, but nothing would prepare us for the tough year that we would have following the 9/11 attacks in 2001. The economy was down, the live events industry took a huge hit, and that's our bread and butter, right, live events. And we were just barely scraping by. I had to lay off several of our employees, and we had to move back into my house. It was like I was going backwards. And I got to the point where we were completely out of money, and all of the jobs had just kind of dried up. It was this little 3-month period that just got really, really bad. And I was really tempted to give up, right? Go start filling out some job applications and get a job, you know, because I got to pay my rent. So instead of doing that, see, I call myself a serial entrepreneur. So instead of doing that, I didn't give up. I went through the house and I gathered up all my change. I had some in the closet. I had some in my pockets. I had some in some drawers. I was even in the couch cushions. I found some quarters in the couch cushions as well. And I put it all together in some jars. And I took my quarters and nickels and dimes and pennies down to the grocery store. And you guys know the Coinstar machine? Alright, so I dumped I'm sitting there dumping all my change into the Coinstar machine. And I turned it into about 20 bucks. I remember it was about 20 bucks. And so what did I do with the 20 bucks? I used the 20 bucks to take